Join me right now. Back on the show is Eternal MMA featherweight champion Jack Jenkins. When we spoke last time, you were heading into the title fight. Now you're wearing the strap. How does it feel?
Feels good. Feels good. Feels like 10 plus years of hard work. I'm starting to come to the part where we start getting something back for it. So still foot to the floor. There's no job done yet, but yeah, it feels good.
Let's go back to that fight. Eternal MMA 52. You go in there against Diego Ferreira and get the 4th round finish. You went into the championship rounds. How did it feel to get the finish in the championship rounds instead of like something early?
Yeah, it felt really good. I think maybe the last time when we spoke about what I'd been working on, one thing I'd been working on was just my presence and, took a little bit of time away from MMA just to work some other competition stuff just to make sure that, I could switch on when I needed to. And I think probably out of everything that I was happy with in that fight in terms of like skill sets and that was my number one thing, just to be super present and focused the whole time and didn't really miss a beat. So going into the 4th round, I felt like from the 1st round, I got stronger and stronger every round. So going into the 4th and 5th, I was more confident then than I was sort of going into the 1st and 2nd. So I felt very good.
Yeah, there's guys out there that, you see them and they're guys that go out there and get that quick finish and they do that from time to time. And then there's guys that build up as the fight goes. It seems like you're turning into that style, you know what I mean? Where it's
that's kind of been my evolution was that I think early on I relied purely on a bit of athleticism and just aggression to get people out of there quickly. And it was probably a combination of enjoying the finish, but also a little bit of anxiety to get the fight over quickly. Whereas now I've just built myself into someone who's so comfortable with a 25-minute fight, in terms of my physicality and my fitness to be able to run through a 25-minute fight that doesn't faze me anymore. And I just love being in there. I think there's one point you watch back on the show and I come out for the 3rd round and one of the commentators sort of looks at the other one. He goes, geez, Jack just loves to fight, doesn't he? And I thought, out of all the things I said, that was one thing that stuck with me because I really love to fight.
Yeah, and also a lot of guys, they're scared of 5 rounds. You know what I mean? That's something that they don't want to do ever. And you're getting ready for what's to come up in the future of your career is, more title fights, more 5-rounders, higher level of competition. It helps, right? Just building up everything.
Yeah, 100%. Like my mentality on it is, I spoke to one of my good friends about this the other day. Like, what do you see as being your strengths? And I said, look, I think for the regional scene and the local scene, my fitness is definitely like an X factor. Like I'm fitter than most guys. But then I said, am I going to have an X factor fitness when I get in the UFC? At this point, maybe, but probably not like on the level of like Volko and Max and those guys. So I just got to keep the foot to the floor on those things, like no breaks in between fights, no breaks in between, resting, where you let that fitness drop off. Because by the time I do get to that top threshold of guys in the UFC, I want to be able to still have that fitness as my X factor instead of just being another guy.
All right, before we get into your title defense, I wanted to go back. After you won the title, that was just before the pandemic had just destroyed everybody's plans for the year. You're wearing that shiny belt. You're probably thinking like, I'm going to defend it maybe 2 or 3 times this year.
Yeah.
Mentally, what happened to you?
Yeah, so we flew to the Gold Coast, and when we flew back, I had maybe 2 days of normalcy, and then Melbourne went like full lockdown. And I was the lucky one because I got my fight done. I had teammates who had done pretty much the whole prep with me, who were scheduled for a couple of weeks after. Boom, they got cancelled. So we came back, and Melbourne did like a really hard, strict lockdown at that time. And so we couldn't train at all really for a couple of weeks, where I was just, the only thing you could do here was leave your house for an hour a day to go for a run. So I was just doing that, and then some shadow boxing in my garage. But then eventually we could get work permits, and the Victorian Combat Sports Board here was really good at backing all the fighters, like from a bureaucratic sort of government entity. They were backing us. They were saying like, no, these guys are professionals. This is their job. They were helping us get all our work permits because you couldn't leave your house without getting stopped by the cops. It was pretty crazy. Yeah, so once we got those work permits down, it was good. It was good to go. We were back training, so I haven't really stopped training all that much over the year. It's been a really good chance to level up skill sets without getting the body banged up, to be honest.
Yeah, huge advantage for you because there's guys worldwide, you know what I mean? They couldn't even leave their house. The gyms were shut down. The police is everywhere. And pretty much they had to work out in their garage, like you said, and
Yeah,
leveling up that way is a tough task, man, especially without the bodies, right?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So your team, absolute, man. So you said you've been back in the gym. You got the work permits, leveling up. It's been a long time, man. You guys have so much to show coming up, especially with your teammate fighting Sam in that one night tournament. How
Yeah,
has training been the last, let's say, 3 months heading into this event?
yeah, it's been hectic, man. I don't know if I said last time I was speaking to you, but I really think like we're if I could put it somewhere to give people a bit of concept on it, like I think we're like a CKB maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago in terms of we've just got such deep talent. We just haven't had that breakthrough yet, of that, that 1, 2, 3 guys getting in to sort of pave the way. But I believe on like talent and work rate and, how we're gelling together as a team. If you look at a team like CKB, someone for us to emulate, being in the region with us as well, then we're really coming up to that point now. So the training room has just been awesome. It feels like a professional sports team. Everyone acts like we're professional athletes, and our support from the top down, from the gym, is treated the same way. So just as an example, we've got like all our training is all periodized to peak for a fight. So you walk into training day to day, and all the sessions, skill-based sessions, are all pretty much the same for everyone, unless you're close to a fight where you might break off and do some skill stuff. But for all your strength and conditioning work, it's all sectioned off based on how far away from a fight you are. You're doing different volumes and different intensities based on how close you are to a fight. And we were scheduled to fight, Jesse and I, on January 30th. I followed the periodization to a T. Even though the fight got cancelled, I went in and did hard sparring on that night, the 30th of Jan. And it was just a real testament to the team and how they put it together, because I just couldn't get myself tired. I felt so fit. My timing was on, my distance was on that night that I was designed to peak for in the program. So then all we had to do was just retweak it a little bit, have a tiny little break, and then build up again for this one on March 19th. But yeah, we got some big things happening at Absolute, and I'm really happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk to all of you guys at Absolute, man. You guys got like you said, a little. It's like CKB, but a taste of Team Alpha Male a little bit, right? Mixed
Yeah,
together.
100%. That's the two things I would say is like that Team Alpha Male. Yeah, I remember I was like 15, 16 when I was, training my kickboxing and stuff. And I would see videos of like Uriah Faber, Chad Mendez, and Joseph Benavidez, like all in a kitchen, like dancing or something before a fight. And I'd be like, fuck, that would be cool to have a team like that. And I feel like we've got that. And we all got each other's backs, and we're all pushing each other. So it's good.
All right, let's talk about the opponent, man. Someone that's familiar to you.
Yep.
Was he on the top of the list when you got the belt?
Yeah, 100%. So we went out the back. We went out the back with Cam and Ben, the promoters at Eternal, and they said, "Look, great fight," because I obviously had taken that fight with Diego on short notice, and they'd said, "Look, thanks for stepping in. Have you got any plans?" And I said, "The only person in Australia I've ever lost to is Jesse. I want to get that one back." And they were like, "Okay, we'll see if we can make that work. We've got to, check things out." And he was coming off a win, so it worked out. Would have been nice to get it done sooner, but it is what it is. And I got asked this question today, and it was like, I have no personal animosity towards Jesse. I think he's a great guy and he's a good competitor, but our paths cross once before, and I really believe they have to cross again before either of us can move on with it. So it's I'm going to the UFC in my head, and that's what's in front of me right now.
Yeah, Jesse, he's not the type to trash talk anybody, to be honest with you.
Nah,
one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet.
Yeah, I know. Even when the fight got cancelled on January 30, we sort of shot each other a quick message and said, "Hey mate, look, this sucks. hope you're all right. Hope the training's going well. Kept it short, and we weren't overly friendly with each other, but there's definitely no animosity there. This is business for both of us.
What's different? You know, I mean, of course, that's the question that everybody's gonna ask you is like, what's different about you heading into this fight compared to the last one?
Yeah, so I think apart from the obvious skill differential that you've seen from if you watch my fights right before that fight and you watch my fight right before this one, you go, Jack's changed a lot, like his game style, how he's training, his fitness. But I think the biggest one for me is just mentally, like I'm going into this fight fully prepared to go out on my shield if it comes to that. Like it's win or die trying for me, which I probably lacked back before the last fight. So I'm ready to go out there and leave it all there. And that's probably what I think is the biggest difference, aside from the fact that my technique and my skill set has developed a lot.
Do you envision the same fight, like going in there, wearing him down, and then being able to, get the late TKO or the submission?
The way I think it will be different to the Diego fight is I think I'll wait a little bit more for Jesse, in the sense that Diego, he's a rhythm guy, right? So I didn't want Diego to be able to find his rhythm and start getting his stuff off. So my thing was be in Diego's face, don't let him set. And, we did a really good job of that. And, a lot of the stuff that he usually shows in those fights, he didn't get to show because I never gave him the chance to. Jesse's a little bit different in that I think, I will be able to wait a little bit and catch him slipping. Without going into too much detail, we've got some stuff we've been planning, and it's going to be a good show.
I think a lot of people, if they don't go watch the first fight, they just look at the loss, and then you got tapped out. But really, that fight, you're dominating the fight from the top. You know what I mean? If you don't go watch it, you're really uneducated leading into this fight.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think I won the first round. I was following the game plan in the first round. And then again, like I said, maybe just a little bit of greenness and a little bit of anxiety to try and finish the fight. I went away from the game plan to try and look for the easier way to get this done, or the faster way to get this done, I suppose. And that's what cost me. Whereas there's not going to be an ounce of that for this one. It'll be game plan start to finish, and it'll be a spectacular finish if it goes the way I'm seeing it.
The future, man. Of course, you mentioned earlier that the UFC is in your sights. How long do you think it's going to take you? Because the world has been they threw a wrench in there, right, for everybody. Traveling around.
If you had to ask me this, if we had had an interview the week after the Diego fight, I would have said I'd already be in. But obviously, that's not how it worked. Took it as what it was, and now I'd probably say the same thing. I think I'm 6 to 12 months off. Just once that foot's in the door, it'll be there. But my goal definitely isn't just to get there. I don't want to be a guy who gets there and I made it. That's not it for me. I'm there to compete, and I'm there to get to the top, and that's been my goal since the start.
Definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you reach your goals, but it starts. Or actually, it continues on March 19th. Eternal MMA 57.
It's going to be a big show.
Title,
two nights in a row for Eternal. Massive fights on. There's some fights that I'm actually kind of glad I'm on the Friday night instead of the Saturday, so I can back up and roll in and watch some really exciting fights on the night too.
Yeah, that's always better, right? That's always better.
Yeah, way better.
Because, like if you fight the second night, you kind of get more anxiety. I don't know. I'm not a fighter, but I would think you'd get more anxiety watching other guys fight first.
Yeah, for sure. I think those guys will weigh in. They'll weigh in the morning of our fights, whereas we will have weighed in the day before. So I imagine some of them, if they have teammates or whatever fighting, they'll come through and watch their teammates. But I reckon a lot of people will just go through their regular routine after weigh-ins and probably go kick back and wait around until it's their turn.
All right, Jack, it was good, man, catching up with you, and good luck on the fight, and all the best for the rest of the year, and you accomplish your goals.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.